everyone. Our next speaker is Christian Tidona. He has got his PhD degree from Heidelberg University. Now Christian is a biotech entrepreneur, and he is a founder of the Biomatx Institute in Heidelberg. Throughout his entire professional life, his focus was to foster interaction between academia and industry. Christian is also a co-founder of the Health Access Europe Alliance and chairman of the Weizmann Young European Network. Today he'll talk about what career perspectives one can pursue beyond academic research. So Christian, we're very happy to have you here and very excited for your talk.
Thank you very much, Vitali. Welcome everyone. I'll quickly share my screen and then we'll start right away. Here we go. So hopefully you can see my screen right now. Okay, so welcome to the session. As Vitali said, I'm going to talk a little bit about career perspectives beyond academic research. As you know, there's not enough jobs for all of you to become professors, and it's actually, for many of you, might not be feasible. There's lots of other career perspectives, and I'm going to show you some alternatives in this talk. So the first question before you choose a career, and it's exactly the right timing towards the end of your time at the university, is to get a clear idea of what kind of person you are. And the way I see it, there's three types of personalities. There's academic people, there's industry people, and there's startup people, and anything in between. And the question is, what are you and where do you want to go? And first of all, if you are in academia, as you already know, you will have a lot of freedom to do research, but the disadvantage is you will not have a product. So at the end of your career, in very rare cases, you will be able to say you produce something which is used by people for the benefit of humankind. As compared to this, if you go to industry, you will be involved in developing products that will be used by people, but the downside of being in industry is that you as a person will not have ownership in this product. It will be owned by the company that employs you. And last but not least, if you start your own company, of course you have ownership in what you produce, but as at least the ones that have already started a company with venture capital know that in a startup you don't have a lot of freedom, because you will receive money from investors, and you agree with these investors on certain milestones, and you need to use the money exclusively to pursue these milestones. So you cannot, like in academia, look left and right for interesting science. Now, there is some intersections between these different directions, and the one I'm going to present to you today is the intersection between academic research and industry, and this is exactly what we do at my Biomedics Institute in Heidelberg. The process of this of the innovation model at the Biomedics Institute consists of three different steps, and we've actually published this in Nature Biotech in 2015. And the first of these three steps is global crowdsourcing. So the way it works is that very large companies give us their toughest research problems for which they have absolutely no idea how to solve them, and we post them on our crowdsourcing platform at the best universities and research institutions worldwide, and invite young academic scientists to apply by submitting online a very original project proposal how to solve this particular problem. So via this process, we get access to potential solutions in the form of ideas, project proposals, and also connections to these talents that help us solve these problems. And then this is just some numbers of one of the 14 calls for application we published so far. This one is from March 2017, and it's in the field of pathogen-mediated modulation of innate immunity, so an immunology project. And we received a total of more than 300 applications from 60 countries worldwide, pretty wide distribution and reach. People can apply as group leaders, as postdocs, as masters. And then we select, together with the committee, the 15 brightest individuals. And in this case, these were 15 candidates from 9 different countries. and they enter the next phase of this innovation process, which is an innovation bootcamp in Heidelberg. So we fly people in from wherever they are, San Francisco, Singapore, Beijing, wherever they come from. And then they see each other at this bootcamp for the first time and associate in 5 different groups around 5 different ideas. And then we help them to combine this collection of sometimes crazy ideas into something we would call a truly brilliant project proposal with a very original experimental approach, but also very solid implementation strategy. And this is just a photo of one day of this boot camp. They still look very relaxed. It's a very tough boot camp, actually. People don't sleep that much during the 4 nights in between because they work on their proposals and they come up with really bright ideas. And on the last day, they present in front of a jury, which includes the senior management of the sponsoring pharmaceutical company. In this case, it was Boehringer Ingelheim. And then we select the winner of the bootcamp, and the winner of the bootcamp enters the 3rd phase, which is local incubation. So we help to relocate the winner with his or her family from wherever they are to Heidelberg. We organize visa and houses and jobs for their spouses and kindergarten spots if they need some. And then they live and work for up to 5 years on the campus of the University of Heidelberg at Biomatx Institute, where they pursue their research, and they usually get an annual budget between 800,000 euros and 1 million euros. And then there they work and live together in a very nice co-working space with S1, S2 lab facility. They share their ideas. They have lots of joint events, and also they receive coaching, which is very important. So every one of our teams has 3 different mentors. The industry mentor, that's a scientist from the sponsoring pharma company. The second one is an academic mentor. That's a professor from our local ecosystem who is an expert in the field. And the third one is our head of research, Thomas Rückle, who is looking after the teams. And they meet physically once a month to discuss past and future experiments. So it's a very, very collaborative, very interdisciplinary approach. And all these talents also receive entrepreneurship and leadership training and also coaching, personal coaching for the next step in their career, which happens after their time at Biomedics. So in the end, what Biomedics Institute produces is 2 different things. One is intellectual property, so scientific results, and second is qualified top talents. And of course, this does not happen in the void. It needs to be in a very vibrant academic ecosystem, which is called BioRN. This is the biotechnology cluster Rhein-Neckar, and I used to be the head of this cluster for 8 years before I started Biomedics. And it's a very dense environment. You see on the left side a map with about 1 hour drive radius. And there's lots of startups, lots of big pharma companies, and also lots of universities and research institutions. And we are on the campus of the University of Heidelberg in Neuenheimer Feld, which is basically a square mile with more than 20 institutes in life sciences, a very big hospital, 15,000 jobs in those institutes, plus 16,000 students in biotech and medicine. And we're in the technology park, which is a 50,000 square meter lab and office space for around 100 startups. And in this technology park, currently we have 1,600 square meter open innovation lab and office sharing community for all our teams. And of course, in addition to that, we have very close collaborations with major institutions so that our research fellows can use the core facilities of institutes like EMBL, like the German Cancer Research Center, the university, with all the big instruments, animal facility. And also, so far, we have more than 100 material transfer and license agreements with universities and research institutions worldwide. Our core values at Biomedics are very important, and they're actually in every single one of our units. The first one is cross-leverage. We inspire and motivate each other to unleash our full potential. So this means Biomedics is a place for people who are growing by helping others, who are sharing their ideas. And it's not a place for what I would call a brilliant jerk, to someone who was very successful in publishing but does not share ideas and does not help others. This is something which excludes people from joining Biomedics, and we see this in the bootcamp, the true personality. Cross-pollinate, we embrace diversity as it is the source of innovation. It's very important. We have at the moment, with the 60 people, we have more than 30 nations. And it's very important that people need to come from all different places with all different backgrounds. And this is how innovation happens. And then, of course, the third one, which is obvious already during the bootcamp, is aim high. Our goal is to completely change the way how patients are treated. We expect the top talents to come to Biomedics in using this time very wisely to prepare the next step for their career, perform great science, and also publish very well so that they find the next dream job after Biomedics. Can we attract top talent from around the world? Yes, we can. Biomedics is 7 years old. And this is just some of the logos where people of the institutions where people came from before they joined Biomedics. And where do they go after they finish Biomedics? And we help them to find their next job. And actually, around 50% continue their career in industry, and about 50% continue in academia. And this is possible because at Biomedics, we usually publish everything we do, all our results. And so far, we have more than 40 published publications in peer-reviewed journals. And of course, this helps people to continue their career also in academia. The activities that we have at Biomedics, we engage in special interest groups around lab tools and methods, career development, also other topics. This in science, we have Friday meetings where all our fellows present in front of each other their research and everybody comments. We have annual science retreats. We have training programs, for example, the Scientist Entrepreneur course at the University of Heidelberg, which I'm running, and also in scientific writing. People can learn German if they want to. We have lunch talks where we invite top speakers from around the world and then invite the entire campus and discuss about science together. And of course, sports. There's lots of philanthropy, runs, and dragon boat racing, climbing, and yoga. And also a lot of social activities where we have potluck, where we share food from our home countries, beer hours, annual summer party, and then also Christmas cooking. The value proposition of Biomedics for talents is, of course, there is a fully funded 3 to 5 year research group focused on outstanding research and publications. So no teaching obligation, for example, or no working for other groups. People work for their own research project. Creative cross-cultural teamwork atmosphere, guidance by experienced mentors from academia and industry. An outstanding environment with direct access to leading research institutions and companies in the area of Heidelberg, leadership and entrepreneurship training, and of course, a risk-free assessment of a possible future career in a startup or big company, because, as I mentioned previously, we publish, and this allows people to go back to academia if they like to. So far, we have started 14 research groups with 5 big pharmaceutical companies since 2013. I'll just, for the sake of time, I'll just show all of them at once. The red ones mean that they're currently running at Biomedics. The pink ones have already ended. And as you can see, we are quite strong in neurosciences, including Alzheimer's and psychiatric diseases such as schizophrenia or depression. We are working in immunology as well, and in immuno-oncology, and of course oncology, and also even with Roche we had a project in the development of nanosensors. So it's a very broad range, and you have to imagine all these teams, top scientists that help each other to be very successful. So in conclusion, I hope I could show you that Biomedics is an independent research institute at this interface between academia and industry. It provides an inspiring open innovation environment for early career research talents from around the world, and it opens new career perspectives for young academic researchers in academia, startups, and large companies. And if you're interested to learn more, you can also always register at our website, and whenever we post a new call for application, you will get an email and you can choose to apply in one of our future calls. And with that, I would close. Thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Oh, okay. So we have got a couple of questions for you. Thank you very much for your talk. And So we will jump straight forward into it. So the first question is from Mehar, and she's interesting. What do you think that academic training lacks that makes it hard for new PhD students to enter into industry?
Yeah. Actually, this is a big deficit in the curricula of all sciences, basically, because there is more than just an academic career, and I think it's the task of the professors to prepare people for all kinds of careers after university. And what's lacking so far is, at the university, what you have this freedom of research, you have this creative environment. But what you need for an industry career is a very clear implementation strategy with milestones and deliverables. So what's mostly missing is an understanding for timelines and project management, but also it's in addition to where in academia you go left and right and look for by curiosity, look for new scientific areas. In an industry career, you have focused projects that are focused on very specific solutions, and this is usually not taught at university. So I would recommend either doing an internship in an industry company to find out and get these additional skills, or to come to institutes like Biomedics at this interface where you can learn about this world of industry without leaving academia.
Now we have a couple of questions about specifically about Biomatx. So one of them are from me. So the question is, what experience one should have to apply to Biomatx? Is it better to be postdoc, or it is also possible to apply as a PhD student?
Yeah, we have all levels of scientists. So for these calls for application, usually they're addressed to people who want to become group leaders, so postdocs, but also postdocs who feel not yet ready for a leadership position. These are the people that usually participate in the bootcamp. But once we have found a winner, this winner then recruits additional team members via normal job adverts, and they are also posted on our application system. And there it goes down to interns that just started in the first semester at the university. So all levels. What's important is that you have a little bit of scientific background already, that you can work in the lab, and that you're very open and very curious and have a passion for science. That's the most important.
Yeah, another part of the question is what level of readiness should the proposal project has to be able to submit it to Biomatx?
So it should be something which is very specifically addressing the call, and it should have a very original experimental approach. So a strategy which is not obvious, where people sit back and say, "Wow, this is a clever approach. Why didn't I think about this?" So it needs to be something which has some sort of spark of brilliance, how to solve this problem in an elegant way. Maybe to say it in different words, you don't need to be very intelligent to solve a deep biology question by brute force. So to do a very large screening with millions of conditions, and then you just crunch the data. This is something you don't need to be super intelligent to do this. At Biomedics, we expect you to find a very smart approach where you can do this entire assay in one tube, a very clever assay. And that's a typical Biomedics approach, not brute force, but clever and elegant.
Another question about Biomatx. How important is to speak German to have a position?
Not at all. Most of our fellows don't speak a single word of German. Heidelberg is a very international place. At Biomedics, we all speak English. All the communication is in English, so absolutely no problem if you don't speak German.
We got another of questions about whether does Biomatx support PhD studentships?
Yes. Almost all, all of our teams have PhD students. It's very important that the PhD students join at the beginning of the projects, because as I showed, projects are running for 3 to 5 years. And of course, when we take PhD students, we need to make sure that they can finish at Biomedics. So it's important to start early. And also we're collaborating with the graduate school of the University of Heidelberg. So it's beneficial most of the time to also become part of the graduate school and then do the actual PhD work at Biomedics.
Okay. Yeah, another question is more general one. How much freedom does one have in industry, and especially, for example, maybe not industry, but also in Biomedics, comparing to academia, and like for a person who would like to stay in the wet lab?
Yeah. So let me first answer for industry. Usually for industry, there is a very clear goal at the end of a project. And anything that leads to this goal is in scope, and everything that is, branching out too much to the left and right is usually not really supported in industry, unless you are in one of what I would call creative pockets. So there is some labs also in industry that have the freedom to be very, very creative and do curiosity-driven research. But normally it's very project-driven. At Biomedics, it depends. It's just a discussion between you and your group leader, what you want to do, and then you will have all the freedom to explore left and right. Of course, we have timelines and milestones, but how to get there and what to do in between, all the group leaders and the fellows decide by themselves. So we're not telling them what to do during their research project.
Yeah, there was one question from Sid here. She asks what are the top criteria selection for shortlisting the candidates before the bootcamp?
Yes. So first of all, it's the originality of the project proposal. So something like I said before, something where a scientist sits back and says, "This is brilliant. Why didn't I think about this?" So if we take the time to read the challenge very carefully, and with your scientific background, scientific knowledge, to sit down and think about a very, very clever assay system, a very clever approach how to solve this particular problem. This is criterion number one, the originality and the scientific quality of the proposal. And then, of course, also we look a little bit about track record. So if you have published very well, or you have worked in top labs around the world, that of course is a plus as well.
Another question was is about is it possible to switch back to academia after an exposure to industry?
Yes. So quite a few, especially also group leaders have done this at Biomedics. Then after the period at Biomedics, they switched back to an academic career, and they actually continued. Two of them actually continued also their collaboration then with the industry sponsor after they have switched to an academic path. So it's not because we publish, and every team has in its turn, it's up to 5-year term, between 3 and 8 publications in decent journals. So of course you can go back to academia and become a professor, no problem.
Then I think we will switch back to Biomatx, and the question is what is unique in Biomatx comparing to some other, like, for example, startup bootcamps and so on?
Yes. At Biomedics, I've shown you these 3 core values, and I'm actually very serious about it. There's a lot of freedom for everyone who comes to Biomedics. We jointly decide about the ecosystem, about what instruments we need, about what social activities we run. There's complete freedom. Everybody can talk and everybody helps each other. But it's very important about these 3 core values, that we only accept people who are scientifically brilliant and at the same time have embraced the concept of growing by helping others. So it's a sharing community, and it's a place where we don't like people who use elbows and who just want to have super big ego. We want people who are true team players, and that's very important. And also that we embrace diversity. So you will find at Biomedics, as compared to industry or academic labs, you will find really all kinds of people, weird hair, earrings, tattoos, crazy people, and we want them to stay that way as they are. They come as individuals, and we want this type of diversity. So we're not discrimination is completely not allowed at Biomedics. And also it's for young women. So many of the group leaders and postdocs actually during their term at Biomedics had children, which is perfectly possible, having children and still a career in science.
Great. Yeah, I think we shall be closing quite soon. So thank you very much again for answering the questions. And I would also welcome everyone who hadn't had a chance to ask a question to join us for the speed dating session soon. And yes, and see you there, Christian.
Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure. Thank you.